How long have you had these microwaves, Mike?
Since Christmas.
And he's just now sharing them with me.
Sharing them? I gave you the whole damn box.
And he just now gave them to me.
Sharing implies that I had some too.
Did you not?
No.
Where's half the box gone?
Because it's in your mouth.
I didn't eat half of the box.
War session over. The Mike and Ike's are in his mouth.
Half of the box was gone when I started.
I heard the box was gone. Anyways,
Whoa.
tell him the war session subject.
I don't know what it is.
I know. We are talking about the show Bel Air today. Marcus loves it.
No, I do not. It sucks.
Take it away. Start with your stance and then defend it.
Well, the new Bel Air show sucks. Let me tell you. I didn't even really watch Fresh Prince before starting the show. Like, so you don't need to be a Fresh Prince fan to know this show sucks.
Which, ironically, I watched the show with him, and some war session this is, because I'm already in agreement. As a person who grew up watching Fresh Prince as his favorite sitcom show, I hated Bel Air right off the get-go. Once I found out that they weren't doing something new, and that everybody was named the same thing as the original show, and they were trying to recreate iconic moments, but like make it more mainstream, but it's just not working.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't stand it. I told you that right away. I said, "Have you seen the real show?"
I was like, hey, I just seen clips here and there.
And I said, "Dude, after this first episode is done, you need to watch the real show."
Yeah, let me tell you, this episode. So like, and I'm pretty sure every episode is just because it's modern TV. It's 40 minutes long, and the normal Fresh Prince has 20-minute episodes, and they did in 20 minutes. That was so much better than what they did in 40.
Yeah, the funny thing is, that 49 minute episode, which was the first episode of Bel Air we watched,
Yeah.
was the same thing going on as the first episode of Fresh Prince. They didn't do anything that was in the second or third episode.
The only difference is that you see like what Will's environment was like, I guess.
And now let me ask you, what show had more impact on you? Like emotionally, like what one did you take more away from? Which one did you laugh harder? Considering that they both had the same theme for the first episode all the way through, which one packed more information to you? The 20-minute episode of Fresh Prince of Bel Air or the 49-minute episode of Bel Air?
What packed more information into me? Like which one had more of an impact on me?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely the 20-minute version.
Exactly.
Just because, like I feel like if you look at the Uncle Phil's character, for example, I feel like there is some change in there. Just because, like, in the normal Bel Air show, like the new one, you have Uncle Phil, and he's like, oh no, this is what makes a man. You look me in the eye, and yada yada yada. But the thing is, he basically is judging him, like, oh, this is how he is. And you shouldn't judge me because I came like from the same things you were. But in the original, Uncle Phil actually judges Will, and Will is actually, like, he goes and starts playing Mozart or something on the piano. It's like,
yeah, and then you see,
whoa, Uncle Phil was, like, wrong about this guy.
but then you see Uncle Phil come back in,
Yeah.
and he noticed he was wrong. He even gives like a huh, like face, like I was wrong, and then like a smile, like maybe I don't know all that I need to know.
Yeah.
So, just a brief side note, this war session is already in agreement, so we're not going to be debating, but as a person who's never seen Fresh Prince before, which he's never seen Fresh Prince before, it's going to be more of like a interview discussion. I'm going to ask him, as a first-time person who watched Bel Air and then went back and watched Fresh Prince, this is both fresh in his mind, and I want to see, like, it's all fresh perspective for you guys so you can get a good example. Because I grew up, so obviously people are going to say I'm more biased because I've been watching Fresh Prince of Bel Air for, like, probably since I was little, honestly. I remember that when DVDs were a thing, I made my parents buy me all the DVDs so I could watch them.
Let me tell you, nostalgia isn't even enough for this show.
The Bel Air show, not the Fresh Prince.
Yes, the new Bel Air show. We're just going to call Bel Air, and Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Fresh Prince.
And another little side note, just so you know, he started with Bel Air, with no Fresh Prince knowledge at all, besides knowing that Will Smith was in it, right? Or did you not even know
No,
that?
I knew Will Smith was in it.
So that's the only thing
But
you
I
really knew
just
about
seen
it, right?
the only thing I've really seen was like I knew about Uncle Phil and like some of the other characters, but I never seen like an actual like full episode of the show. I was just seeing, oh yeah, here's a clip of Fresh Prince. Here's another clip of Fresh Prince, and that's pretty much it.
All right. So starting from the beginning, let's start. When we were watching Bel Air, before you watched Fresh Prince,
Mm-hmm.
what did you think we were going to get into when we were watching it? Like, what did you think the show was going to be? Not what you think it was going to be about, because obviously you're going to think it's going to be Fresh Prince of Bel Air. But
What did I thought it was going to be? I thought maybe it was just. I mean, I just thought it was going to be about this kid who went from like this, like whatever
Ghetto hood area?
Yeah, exactly. To being into like this other rich area, which is like basically him go. And if you're like going off of like the hero's journey, like that's basically him going from one world to another, and him coming out as a completely different person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what I thought the show was going to be. Basically, I actually thought it was going to be a movie, not a show.
oh yeah, I remember you being quite surprised to find out there was more episodes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before I get into
So
another question,
that's what I thought it was going into, because I thought it was a movie.
yeah, you thought it was going to be all wrapped up. Which before I get to another question about that, you didn't hate the show quite as fast as I did. I hated it right off the bat. I remember you were questionable because I asked you what do you think so far, and you said I don't really know yet.
Well, yeah, because we had the first scene with Will in his chair wearing his crown. I'm like, okay, clearly they're treating this as some sort of symbolism.
Yeah, which
like,
was my first indication.
He's
that,
the king of this world.
Yeah, which
and
was
like,
my first indication that they were actually trying to recreate the first Fresh Prince when I thought it was going to be something new. But that was my first indication that they were going to try to like.
And then I looked at the house, which I think is the next scene, and I was like, does this look like a poor people's house? In fact, this house actually looks pretty dang nice.
Oh, right. At the beginning. I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to be in a poor, rough neighborhood, but they have a nice house.
Yeah.
Or at least compared to what I live in, not saying that I hate my house, I'm like, that house is nicer. I mean, obviously they went outdoors and it looked like a little rougher street, but I mean, the house itself was nice, I thought.
Yeah.
So it fooled me right off the bat.
It was pretty good looking.
All right, and then where do we go from there?
From there we went on to him going to like his basketball stuff and basically, okay, this is how Will as a kid, this is how Will is as a character. He wants to like, he doesn't want to go off to college somewhere else, like because he wants to stay home. That's where he feels like he belongs. And then his mom's like, oh no, you have like so much greater purpose out there in the world, and you gotta find it. And then we get this guy who's like, oh yeah, you wouldn't have gotten that scholarship if I was on the team. And I was just like, yeah, okay. So this is like the big bad. Okay, this is the guy that's gonna make Will leave. And he's not. He's just some sidekick.
Yeah.
And then like the only reason why he's really scary is because he has a gun. And then we get to the real guy that really wants to hunt him down. And he's not really scary either. And the reason why like Will has to leave is because of some misunderstanding. Because the sidekick, the bad sidekick, is the one that throws the ball at Will because he's jealous, but it hits the boss instead. So then it's like, hey, who threw that? Yada yada yada. And then Will's like, oh no man, calm down. And he just doesn't, I guess.
Yeah, which, remember when we watched Fresh Prince then, I remember distinctly telling you, I was like, this is weird because like, besides Fresh Prince's beginning song where it says like he got in trouble in his neighborhood and then he had to go, nobody actually knew what happened specifically that made Will have to move in with his uncle, besides that he got in a little trouble.
Yeah.
And you don't find out until like a later season and later episodes. But they started the show off with him getting in trouble and showing like all the mystery. Now, personally, I don't know if that's something you didn't like, but
all you really know is just like at first it's just what's in the theme song.
yeah. And which one did you like better? Did you like the mystery of not fully knowing? I know we haven't
Well,
got to the
here,
episode
like,
yet that
it's
shows
so.
it, but
I think it's so clever on how they did things, because in the
which one you're talking about?
for Fresh
specifically?
Prince, for
All
Fresh
right.
Prince. So in the Bel Air show, he basically has to leave because he gets in trouble with that gang leader or whatever, and he doesn't want to leave, and it's supposed to be like this emotional thing, and it's like, okay, yeah, yeah, I get it. He has to leave, but I felt like it was like, oh no, this is what's supposed to happen. Just because I know that's what happens, because the theme song is iconic. And I just felt like, okay, we basically have to get from here to get through the show.
Yeah.
That's just how I felt about it. But I thought it was clever how they did it for Fresh Prince, just because you see this character, and Will Smith is just so outgoing, and it's like there's no problem, like, at all.
Yeah.
It's like he's hiding that sadness with his outgoing presence.
Yeah, which is quite different from the
And
Bel Air character, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and you hear the story all about how his life got turned upside down, and you don't hear that at first. You just see this guy knocking on the door, singing a song, all happy and stuff, and it's like, who's this character? We should be talking about this. Why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about the reason why he leave? And there's just so I just felt like there's so much to the Will Smith version. It's like he's hiding something here. There's some more to this story here than just what we saw, like with the theme song. And I just felt like it made the character complex
Yeah,
and real.
I agree.
He just doesn't want. It just felt like he didn't want to talk about it, and they didn't really ask him about it either. But that's probably because they know what happened.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was just me, but I'm gonna phrase this in a question because technically I'm interviewing you. To me, the interactions in Fresh Prince felt more like natural, easy flowing, and interactions between like two people in Bel Air didn't seem natural. It seems like all the times he had to talk to somebody like Uncle Phil or him and somebody else had to talk, it just seemed forced or like they were trying too hard.
I
Acting.
think
What is your opinion?
I think that might be nostalgia doing it, just because it's like, oh no, we need this scene because this scene was important in the show. No pause.
No, we're good.
All right, no pause.
Continue.
And I think sometimes that's where nostalgia gets you, just because like, oh no, this scene's supposed to be like this, it's not supposed to be like this. But sometimes changes to a specific scene can be good. It wasn't really good in this case, I don't think.
Which is why I found it interesting that I wanted to talk to you, because obviously I have the nostalgia for it, but you came into it with fresh eyes. But what I'm actually asking, I'm not talking about like scene for scene, like matching the shows. I'm talking about the acting itself.
Oh, the
like
acting
Fresh
itself.
Prince, whenever he goes up to someone and talks, you never know what he's gonna say, and everything fits his character. But when you watch Bel Air, they seem like terrible actors.
You said Will Smith did improv, right?
Yeah.
Was it like a ton of improv?
Most of the scenes were laid out where you knew what would him, but most of the time, like the fill-in was them improvising, and Will Smith would improv a lot. Sometimes they would just use those scenes, and Will Smith is an
Okay, so
amazing actor.
maybe that's the problem then. I didn't really feel like everything was forced. I think the problem is we have basically two different forms of acting here. We have one acting, Bel Air, just uses like the normal acting method. We have a script, say what's on that script, probably improvise here and there, depending on what happens during shooting.
Which makes it seem more real, like it has more heart.
Then you have the improv, which is Fresh Prince. And an improv...
That's what I'm talking about, has more heart.
Okay. Improv can get messy, but it works. Because there's like, okay, hey, this is the scene. This is what we're going for. These are like some of the lines that you can use. You do you.
Yeah. I think when you add a little bit of improv, that's when you can see an actor's talent. because that's when they have to continue acting the same character they have
It's the
without
actor,
having somebody writing it for them.
yeah, it's the actor bringing life to the character instead of
That's
the
why
other way around.
I think Fresh Prince has a little more heart when they have connections and talks, because you can see that Will Smith actually had respect for James Avery, Uncle Phil, in real life as much as he did in
Yeah,
the show.
I think my problem when it just like when it came to the acting was just like
Bel Air, Fresh Prince.
for Bel Air. The only problem I had is like how they were trying to make it more like 2020, 2022, just like in the modern era. And I'm not saying this is technically a bad thing. I'm just saying like it can. We had one show that was in this time period, and for some reason I think like going from one time period to another is like jaw dropping for some people.
Yeah.
And for some shows,
I was
it just
excited.
doesn't work.
I was excited because I heard that like the show wasn't gonna be a remake, or like, so I thought it was gonna be all new original characters and a new story. And I was excited to see what like a modern day, like sort of Fresh Prince feel, like somebody gets in trouble, they have to go to a different neighborhood. You know, like, but I thought it was gonna be new, like somebody different, not trying to recreate old scenes. And
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. I feel like because of this modern era, the characters were changed. And that's like the real problem I think people are really having with it. Because who's the
speaking of problems though, real quick, are other people having a problem with it? Because I know a few people who said they liked the show.
Yeah,
you went home and go ahead.
My mom and sister said they liked the show, and I was like, no,
the same
show
day
is
too,
garbage.
wasn't it?
And yeah, actually. And then my dad said, I heard it has mixed reviews, and to be fair, like it probably does for the most part.
So,
but who was the sister character, the older one?
The older one,
Yeah.
Hillary.
So yeah, her character is completely changed.
Well, I was gonna get to those in further questions, so don't talk about the characters.
Okay. I'll just say that much. But because of like, I feel like because of modern eras, just because like, oh, it's this time period, now it's this time period, so we gotta change the characters. It's like, no, you don't. We still have these types of characters in this era. Like
that's exactly what I thought.
Hillary in the show, in the Fresh Prince show, was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna battle for good causes, even though she's doing those bad things themselves. You could still have that in the modern era. People still do that.
Yeah. Because she wanted the image. She didn't want to actually do it.
Exactly.
But while we're on that note, I was gonna go. I mean, we pretty much talked about the show as much as we can talk about the show. So I was gonna go by each character, and you tell me what you like from each show and what you dislike about the character from each show, and what they did right and what they did wrong. Maybe a scene or two that sticks in your head. So obviously we're gonna start with the star, the Fresh Prince.
All right.
What do you think of Will? And make sure you.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you the main problem with the show, because
which one?
For Bel Air. For Bel Air. Because I feel like that is the key why I have a problem with the characters and pretty much how the story goes. So basically, this show is no different than any other show that has the same plot.
Bel Air, right?
Yes, Bel Air. Like it's like okay, poor kid has to go to this better life basically, so that he himself can live a better life. Like there's a TV show called All American, and it literally has the same plot point. It came out like years before this.
So technically, they already had a modern Fresh Prince.
Yeah, basically, and I actually liked the show, honestly.
Alright.
I liked it for a bit, then I got out of it.
So, character comparison itself. Let's get back to the point. Will.
So,
first of all, which Will did you like better?
I liked Will Smith's version better.
I saw that coming, honestly.
Yeah.
But now
just because I felt like I think for this one, I think it might have been the actor, honestly. Just because this Will in Bel Air was outgoing, like our other Will from Fresh Prince, but Will just had like this big energy.
Yeah.
And you don't get that in Bel Air.
Will from Fresh Prince had big energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so confusing when the actor's name is same as the characters.
I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah, we have to
that's
clarify
'cause-
for the audience.
Yeah. But I felt that too. But the difference is, Will from Bel Air, I thought was one of the better characters in the Bel Air show. I didn't think he was better than Will Smith's Will, obviously, but he was the character that I didn't mind in Bel Air.
There is a character that is good in the Bel Air show, though.
And maybe we'll get to them. If we don't, make sure you bring it up at the end. So, anything else about Will notes?
No, that was pretty much it for Will. But like when I say like we're bringing like all this stuff to like the like from like shows like All American and that they're basically the same as this. That's why I feel like for the rest of the characters, just because oh yeah we got this guy who has a problem with drugs, and it's Carlton by the way.
Yeah, which we'll get to that.
And
like I said, we're gonna go through characters.
it's just
so don't
like
spoil anything yet.
this is the thing that I keep on seeing over and over again in these type of shows, and I'm just sick of seeing it.
Yeah, but comparison between Will, I'm essentially asking like things you didn't like and liked, and obviously I asked you which one you like better. So for example, let me go first.
So we
liked
did
Will's-
Will.
Yeah,
Oh,
I like
you say your thoughts on Will.
I like Will Smith's character better. Obviously, I agree he has big energy, but I also didn't mind the actor from Bel Air because I thought he was going to bring something new because he has a different attitude than Will does. Will Smith in Fresh Prince is like joking, life is fun. You don't really have a care in the world. Now I have living with a family that has money, but like I still want to keep where my neighborhood where I came from. So like he's
Yeah, Will in
but
Bel
Will
Air
in Bel Air is
still
more serious.
he's still that character, which is good.
I don't think he is. I think he likes to. He's like more serious. He's more focused and life driven. Where Will.
Well, I mean, like what I mean is he has like the same goal in mind. You know what I mean? Like he wants to go back to his neighborhood eventually. He wants to help out his people 'cause that's where he's from. But right now he has to stay in Bel Air because of the trouble that he's in.
Yeah. So, now given that format, let's move on to the next character, Hillary.
All right, let's move on to Hillary.
So start with which Hillary you like better.
You know, I'm not really the biggest Hillary fan to begin with. She's okay,
Yeah.
but like, you know, I just don't really care for her. As for which one I like better, I didn't really care for either one, honestly. I probably like the one in Bel Air, just because like, oh, she just has like just more of a presence than the one in Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
But that's really like the only difference.
Yeah. You gotta watch probably a little more Fresh Prince.
Probably, yeah.
And we probably gotta watch a little more Bel Air to get a better understanding of both. But my first impressions is they're both spoiled, so they did that good. I don't know if I actually like one better either. I feel like the Hillary in Fresh Prince was a better supporting actor. But I think the one in Bel Air showed brattiness better without being like
yeah,
a
well, I'm
cartoon.
kind of was this Hillary supposed to be bratty?
Yeah, she's like a snobby rich kid. That's why she, joins things for image, but yet she just wants money to buy things, or she's really dumb.
We didn't really see that much of her character, though.
Are we talking about Fresh Prince? Or are we
Oh, I'm talking about Bel Air.
Yeah, I'm talking about Fresh Prince.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, that's the other thing.
She's
we
goofy,
see
she's
we
silly.
actually see more of the Hillary from Fresh Prince than the one in the Bel Air show.
Yeah.
Like we find out more about her character.
Which is what I'm saying. I think the one in Fresh Prince is a better supporting actor. Just the one in Bel Air is better at showing like true bitchiness, I guess. Because over here she's just like a cartoonish brat, like a goofy brat.
Mm-hmm.
But for the age in Bel Air, she actually is bitchy instead of bratty. I guess is the best way to say it.
She seems like I don't want to say like manipulative, but kind of scheming. Because she was like, oh no, Will's got to do this and this to keep up the image. Like, if we got to do it, then he's got to do it. And it sounded like she was going to, like, set him up somehow, but that never happened.
Essentially fitting the category of what I just said, right?
Yeah.
Which is what word?
What word?
Bitchy! She's bitchy! Anyways, alright, moving on. Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil. I like Uncle Phil from Fresh Prince. As for the one in Bel Air, I was confused by him, cause it's like,
Same.
oh, he did this for Will, which is nice, but it's like, okay, why did you do it? Did you do it for like some sort of? Well, actually, I can't do that. I can't say he did it for some sort of image because Will is not technically in his image. That's the whole point of Uncle Phil, kind of.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, you did this because it was nice of you to do, but now you're like looking at Will, and it's like, oh yeah, like you owe me or something. I like, wait, why did you do this? Do you even want him here? Like, why did you agree to do this?
Exactly.
Like
You're
you
talking about the one from
could
Bel
have
Air,
just
right?
you could have just put him in like some hotel or something. It doesn't really seem like you really care about him.
The one from Bel Air, right?
Well, no, the one from yes, the one from Bel Air. I was thinking of Fresh Prince of Bel Air, and I got them mixed up. Yes, the one from Bel Air. And I was just confused by him. While I was in Fresh Prince, it was like, okay, yeah, I care about you. I'm bringing you to my home. And like Uncle Phil's like, hey, I know what kind of person you are, yada yada yada. And then it's like, oh yeah, I misjudged him.
I would have to agree with you. I think the Fresh Prince, James Avery, Uncle Phil, is way better of an actor than the one because I'll ask you. You saw it in the scene when they made that same exact scene twice. Uncle Phil and Fresh Prince looked at Will and had that discussion with him about how he was acting up and when he was trying to help him and how he stood with Martin Luther and heard him speak and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like Will was actually being a nuisance at that party too, if you remember.
Yeah, he was.
But in Bel Air, Will wasn't really even being a nuisance. He just did some like basic stuff like giving a couple of dudes a high five. And
Will was just being Will.
Yeah, it wasn't even like stuff that like damages images by him coming up. He's just being a normal person pretty much. And on top of that, when it got to the scene in Bel Air where Uncle Phil had to confront him and say, you know, like he stood with the man and like, why are you even here? There was no heart behind it. It was just like, here's the line by line script from the original Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Just read it. People will love it.
That moment just wasn't earned, I felt like.
Yeah, it was heartless. There was no emotion. There was no attachment. There was no.
It's like, yeah, we need this scene in here because it's from the original.
Yeah, they were trying to go for straight up nostalgia. I felt like in a lot of their scenes, and thought that would be enough instead of having decent acting scenes. All right, so Ashley, I don't think you got to see her that much.
I believe she was only in one scene, so we can't really talk about her.
Me personally, we can talk about how the one from Fresh Prince. I mean, she's like a goofy little kid, you know, and she like idolizes Bill. But the one in Bel Air looks like she's like 16. She doesn't look like a goofy little kid, and I don't think she really idolizes Will in Bel Air. I think she's also indifferent towards him.
She's just like, yeah, he's here.
Yeah.
While the one in Fresh Prince is like, oh yeah, I'm so glad you're here. And it's like, you know, I'm pretty sure like the story is, for both of them, like they've seen each other before. They just don't see each other that much. But they are really like complete strangers in the Bel Air one.
Yeah.
And then in the Fresh Prince version, it's like, hey, like yeah, we're family.
Let's go. I was gonna skip this, but I mean, she has such a presence in the original show, even if she didn't have that much in the in the Bel Air Show, but let's talk about Aunt Viv.
Ooh, Aunt Viv did. Oh no, she had a couple scenes actually. I liked Aunt Viv. I liked Aunt Viv in both of them.
Exactly, I did too, but I felt like we didn't see her enough.
In the Bel Air.
Yeah, because in Fresh Prince, she's in every episode. She's like a strong, good guiding, like mother figure to Will.
Yeah. Yeah, and I liked how like in Fresh Prince it's like, oh, there's the one scene where Will goes to that pawn shop and sells violin that Ashley has, and she gets like a what is it, like a drum kit?
Yep.
Yeah. So then he's like, oh, Aunt Viv, no, I bought something for you too, and then she's like, oh, okay, you're good.
Yeah.
And then like we had like also moments like in the Bel Air version where it's like, wait, you two did this and this? Oh no, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm not playing with you.
My favorite scene is when Aunt Viv is going to
Bel Air, Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince.
All right.
Aunt Viv is going to like yell at him. I can't remember for what. And then before she has a chance, Will just goes, "Love you." So yeah, we're pretty neutral there. They're both good.
Yeah.
I think that they do a good job of like showing her as a mother figure in Fresh Prince, but I don't think that she's a bad actor in Bel Air.
Yeah, I can actually tell like she actually does care for Will, and she's actually glad that he's there.
Yeah. All right. Now,
You want to get on to Carlton?
the biggest character I wanted to talk about.
Carlton?
I asked you about it when we were watching Bel Air the
Carlton?
whole time. I kept on saying, "Where is this guy?" And that's DJ Jazzy Jazz. No, it is Carlton. But real quick side note: what'd you think of Jazzy Jeff in both of them?
I liked him.
I liked him in both. He was like the
Yeah.
shining star, I think, in Bel Air.
Jazz is the best character in the Bel Air show.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
And he's actually the crazy taxi driver. So like when you
Yeah.
watch the Fresh Prince song, the Fresh Prince of Bel Air song,
Yeah.
when he says, "I got picked up by that crazy taxi" or whatever,
Yeah.
that was actually him in the Bel Air show, which is why like I held out hope at the beginning of the show when we started watching, because I was like, oh, this guy's good. Everybody's gonna be good.
Yeah, I just remember that scene in Bel Air where like he's trying to help Will escape, even though he's just a Uber driver. And it's just like, oh, hello, Phil, hello, Jazz. So yeah, I'm gonna give you $100 and you're gonna get out of here. Okay, well, get out.
Yeah, and Jazz and Fresh Prince has funny scenes too. He always gets thrown out of the house. You remember when he?
What the first time he visits, was he technically thrown out the house? He just left, didn't he?
Oh, he might have.
Yeah. So
I just remember the iconic
haven't
scene
I
of the
haven't
door
seen
and then him
that.
going, "Ah!"
I haven't seen that yet, but I can't wait till we see it. I think.
You've seen it once.
Have I seen it?
Yeah, because you laughed, and then when they went inside, he talked about something about throwing a man. Or Viv was making a joke about like, well, yeah, you just damn near kicked a guy out the front door.
I think Steve Urkel had that same thing where he's always being kicked out of the house.
That's just kind of funny. It must be like a older sitcom thing.
Maybe.
But now, Carlton.
Carlton.
Which one did you like better? And come on, tell them the differences, because there is differences.
Carlton is definitely the biggest change. So in the original you have Carlton, who wants to be popular, but he's not popular. And then in the Bel Air version, he is popular. And that's pretty much it. He's popular, he does drugs. He's super jealous over his ex.
Alright, now let me tell you, as a person who watched Fresh Prince and I was watching the character similarities and stuff, where my point of view was. Carlton, as you've seen in the show after we watched, is a freaking goofy rich nerd. Like goofy. But like he doesn't
You don't even know what that guy's gonna do on it.
He doesn't even really mean any harm.
No, not
He's
at all.
Like he's good person.
He's
just
genuine about it.
Yeah, he's a good person. He's just rich and snobby, I guess. I don't know how to put it. But in Bel Air, when they finally showed him and he walked up into the room and he was snorting that line of cocaine, that was so jarring. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's like a rich thing to do. But to have Carlton do that? Like, you would have expected Will to do that because Will's technically like the mischief one. But Carlton sniffing a line? I was like, okay, let's just see where this is going. And then they ended the episode with them getting in a fight. Like, Carlton actually swinging and cussing at him. I'm like, whoa, do not call this guy Carlton because your name is not Carlton.
No, this is literally like a completely different character.
All right, let's start with you again not seeing Fresh Prince. So fresh mind again.
All right.
So no comparing to Fresh Prince.
Okay. What I think about Carlton?
When you saw Carlton, what was your initial thoughts?
I was like, you know, this is like, I feel like this is like a real rich person. Like, this is how a rich person would act. But like, I just didn't like him.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's like technically like a real like review of the character because that's
you remember
like,
what you told me though when we were watching it?
No, I don't remember. What did I tell you?
You looked at me and said, every time they have a character just like this.
Oh yeah, that's because they always have a character with a drug problem in these types of shows like Bel Air.
Yeah,
there's always that one with the drug problem.
Yeah. Okay, now, watching Bel Air first and getting that impression of Carlton, when you went to watch Fresh Prince, before Carlton actually showed up on the screen, what did you have in your mind that he was going to...
For Fresh Prince?
Yeah.
Okay.
So before Carlton walked on screen on Fresh Prince, what were you thinking he was going to be like after seeing Bel Air first before you watched Fresh Prince?
So you know the Carlton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought of that, but as a person.
So you knew he was going to be a goofy dude?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you saw the guy with the drug problem and you're like, oh, this Carlton's going to be like a rough dude.
No, because I know about the Carlton dance, so it's like, a person like the Carlton from Bel Air isn't going to do that.
Alright. Let's go with what this war session ended with. I think we're both in agreement. Are we both in agreement?
Yes, sir.
So we're going to end in a peace treaty. We both think Bel Air is garbage. But if you guys disagree with us, tell us to watch more, and we'll watch it just for you, and then we'll watch the whole season, and we'll come
get
back
back
with
to
you. But if you guys don't message us on YouTube or in live chat or on our podcast or email us, then we're probably not going to finish it because we both thought it was garbage. So, you got anything else to say? Don't say bye yet.
Oh, dang.
But
took my thing. No, I know.
Alright, so normally this section, when we end with, sorry we went a lot long today. What time we at?
Oh, we're at an hour and 30 now.
I know some people like longer podcasts, but some people like that 45 minutes to an hour, so they know they only get that. If we're going a little too long, let us know, and we'll try to cap it every time for you guys at the perfect time, 1 hour, 45 minutes. But if you guys like this hour and a half, we need to know that too, because, I mean, we can talk and bring up more subjects.
We can pretty much talk all day.
Like, we probably have another half an hour we could add on right now talking about our Uncharted thoughts, but we just don't want to hold you guys up for any longer than we think that we're holding you up. But this ending part, we usually go into emails, and did we have any emails this week?
We did not.
All right, so we don't have any email, but you could email us questions or thoughts, and we'll say them in this section, or we'll answer your questions. And the email that you can email us at is
otakunews@gmail.com.
Thank you. And then after the email, we go to 5-star reviews. This isn't necessarily for 5-star reviews on Twitch or YouTube, but we put this out in a podcast too. And anybody who leaves a 5-star comment, you can say anything like, that Mike dude is really fat, goofy, Majin Buu dude, and I'll say it right here out live
Marcus
for you.
looks super tall in that chair.
But we should get the podcast going live this week, so technically we don't have any 5 stars yet. Also on YouTube, if you leave a comment, as long as it's not like super profane, like blank blank, but blank blank blank, then We'll read
shooting
that.
blanks.
Wow. Yeah, so then we'll say that in this section. As usual, I'm Mike Sensei.
Marquando.
This is Mark Wando. We'll see you next week.
Peace. Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's that first day of first grade. That cute girl, your third day. That backpack, that snapback you've had since the third grade. The first time you got laid, the worst time you got played. It hurt, but you're okay. You learn from your mistakes. Your friends back.